My name is Django. I grew up in a small town, but always felt the universe pushing me to do something monumental. In 2010, I was working at the drive-thru of McDonald's for $7.25 an hour. Fast forward to today, and I'm the co-founder of a multi-million-dollar technology agency. This is the Django Show, where I interview founders of successful companies and expose the how-tos of becoming a successful entrepreneur. What up, what up? It's your boy Django, host of the Django Show. Today we have my brother Leviathan, DiVincenzo. He went from the Marine Corps to a Fortune 500 company. His first attempt at entrepreneurship was a failed entertainment company that left him broke. But using credit, he was able to get himself $150,000 in available credit lines to start his now successful business. He's done over 7 figures in real estate, wholesaling and flipping. He's built a trucking company based out of Atlanta during the pandemic, and his passion project is Better Way, a company focused on elevating others and showing them a better way than the typical 9-to-5 lifestyle. Along with his partner, Jay Monopoly, they just had the Better Way conference, which I was in attendance of, with over 400 people in attendance, and it was a truly incredible event. I'm so excited to have him here. Here's to Levi.
What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's up, man? It's good to have you here.
Good to be here, bro.
It's been, we've come a long way. I met you out in New York, like, what was it? I think almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We're doing smaller classes out in New York.
Yeah,
you came through and we taught you about wholesaling.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, it was the best game that I ever got in regards to that, like adding value and everything. I feel like it'd be great to be able to start where maybe I asked you, like, you know, compared to 10 years ago, you know, where were you then and where are you now?
10 years ago, I was 16 10 years ago. So I was in high school still. I was living in a 1-bedroom. I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah. And my grandmother was staying in 1 bedroom, and I had a family of 5. So my mom, my dad, my 2 little brothers were all in 1 room. Mm-hmm. And I was going to high school. I really had no larger vision or grand scheme at that time compared to where I'm at now. It's really like just truly a blessing to see like where I came from.
That's incredible, man. You obviously in the bio that you sent over, I didn't actually realize that you had a company before you got started and like the real estate and all the other stuff. Like, what was that? What gave you that entrepreneurial bug? And like, what was that when you started?
I mean, I sort of had to find my own way in life growing up. So like it started in middle school. It was the first time I actually started selling things. I would go to the grocery store and buy these little bags of lollipops called rocaletas. It's like a Mexican candy type thing. Yeah. I would sell the lollipops at lunch in middle school. And that was sort of like the first time I, started making money for myself. And then in high school, I would buy and sell sneakers. And I ended up getting a job with the government. It was an internship for the U.S. Geological Survey. So I was working as like a hydrological technician, which is like a water scientist.
Okay.
So that was when I was like 17. And then that sort of got me aligned into looking into the military as an option.
Okay.
I never really wanted to go to college. I never really didn't have any aspirations that I felt like I needed a degree for.
Yeah.
So I was kind of lost for a while. And then I went to the military and I started buying and selling cars. And that's how I like eventually saved up money to be able to get out and start a business, which was the entertainment company that me and Jay partnered on. That was the first company we partnered on. Mm-hmm. And it was just a big fail. We didn't have the right guidance. We had no experience, no network, nothing to play off of. We just had an idea and we had a lot of determination, but we didn't have all the other pieces to bring it together, so we ended up losing quite a bit of money for that age.
I know how that goes. For sure. But then obviously from that, it didn't necessarily discourage you from being an entrepreneur. Seems like you guys kind of doubled down and then ran it back. So like, what was that process of like picking up and then kind of moving into a whole nother industry? Like, how did that end up kind of coming together?
Yeah, it's funny because like, I remember after we took that L, it was kind of like it hurt, it hurt. So I remember we'd be like, yeah, we're gonna try to do it again, and eventually, and we kept like pandering it, it was like, yeah, we're gonna do it again. Yeah. But eventually what had happened was I kept my job and I kept working.
Yeah.
And eventually I tore my ACL. So when I tore my ACL, I couldn't like work because I was a helicopter mechanic. So I needed to be there physically.
Yeah.
And when that happened, it really like made me think like I really got to figure out how to make money without using my body or relying on my body. Like I figured out a way to produce for myself with like my mind, right?
Yeah, I feel that.
So when that happened, I got time off work and I started just really diving into the concept of entrepreneurship, different types of businesses that I could open, looking for actual mentors this time, people that could guide me down the right path. Because I was the type of person who was very against help or, you know, the seeking of help or asking people for anything. So it was very difficult for me to search for a mentor because I didn't want to have to rely on anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a very big hurdle I had to overcome. So I started going to these entrepreneur events, and eventually I found somebody who taught me how to flip real estate.
Okay.
So we got into flipping real estate. We had the right system, right people, got tapped into a network, found a mentor that helped us start flipping in Detroit. And that was actually how we first got into real estate, was flipping houses in Detroit.
Dang, bro. Like, it's just a journey right there. Like, it's interesting. I know I was married to like a lot of ideas I had early on, but it's interesting how like having the right habits and just the work ethic, it just translates in the industry. So may not work that first time, but taking game and then moving to the next part can just help you a lot. Do you think that for you, as far as like the success you've had, not only with the real estate, but then also kind of teaching the credit and then doing the events, are there certain things that you feel kind of translate across all the different kind of industry that you've worked with?
I think one of the biggest skills that I've learned that's just translated into anything in life is leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ability to lead, inspire others, and get everybody to row in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the most valuable life skills you could ever develop. You know, I feel like growing up, I was always sort of naturally a leader. People are always naturally inclined to follow me in some sense, but I just never knew how to direct it purposefully.
Yeah.
And also develop it further, right?
Yeah.
Because if you read the 21 Laws of Leadership, there's a concept that says you can never lead somebody who's a better leader than you, right? So it's sort of like a hierarchy. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, a leader level 10 is going to have the ability to have all types of leaders under him. But if you are, you know, like a level 5 leader, you're in the middle, you're still going to have people that are following you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's just going to be people who are lesser tier leaders, not necessarily lesser quality people, but you want to have strong leaders under you. That way they could create more leaders. And then you get a trickle down effect. So now you're leading masses instead of just a small group of people.
Yeah, bro. It's funny you say that book. I literally just heard that. I've heard that book 2 times now. This is the 3rd time. So in accordance to how you and J roll, I have to read the book now, because if you hear it a 3rd time, you have to do it. What are some other books that you would say kind of helped you through the journey of like entrepreneurship or even like personal development? Because I know you're into that too.
Yeah, I would say Celestine Prophecy was really one of the first breakthrough books for me.
I just finished that one yesterday.
Yeah, Celestine Prophecy is a very good book. It's fictional, but there's a lot of things that you could learn through the story, right? And, you know, it sort of opened my mind to a new way of thinking, being more receptive to the universe, being more open to opportunities, and just being more aligned, you know? And that's a very good book that I recommend to a lot of people. I would say 21 Laws of Leadership is a very good baseline book for leadership. Traction is a great book if you want to learn how to actually structure, systemize, and operate a business. It's going to give you an entire operating system for businesses, which is amazing. There's just so many books, bro.
I know, bro. I have so many books I still have to read, but those are all some solid ones. Speaking of like that traction and talking about the operation, I feel like you were one of the first people I talked to who really talked about like business credit. Like everybody I talked to talked about maximizing your personal credit, you know, getting things out, you know, getting as many 0% interest down or whatever. But you were the first person who really showed me how you can leverage your business's credit. And so like, I'd love to, I'm sure people would want to know this too. Like, first off, how'd you even kind of learn about that process? But also like, is there some little things people can do to get started and, you know, maybe building their business credit as they're starting their business or they're already in it?
Yeah, I see that a lot too. And I think it has to do with, sales.
Mhm.
Because most times the people that are teaching you about credit wants you to maximize your credit so then they could then convert that into a sale.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So they want to push for a sale as soon as possible, right?
mhm,
It's
mhm,
all about conversions.
mhm,
For me, I'd rather put people in the best position to win.
mhm.
And I know your personal credit isn't designed to leverage
Right.
directly, right? If you leverage your personal credit directly, then you're putting yourself in a difficult position, right?
Mhm,
If you leverage your business credit through your personal credit,
mhm.
then you're in a much better position because now you can still operate as a normal human, still be able to get mortgages, auto loans, any other personal credit cards, or even more credit cards for a completely different business if for whatever reason you leverage the initial business credit, right?
Mhm.
So it just opens you up to so many more opportunities when you start using business credit for investments and things like that instead of relying solely on your personal credit.
For sure.
And I feel like that was a multi-tiered question. What was the other part of it?
Well, it was also like, what's some game people could have in regards to maybe just getting started on like building business credit?
Yeah, so the first part, I put together a credit program. The first
Yeah.
part of it is focused solely on personal credit, right? So you have to make sure your personal credit's good. You have to understand how your personal credit operates, right? There's different factors and they all have different weights, right? The most important is utilization and on-time payments. So whatever you do, make sure you keep your utilization low and you make sure all your payments are on time. If
Mhm.
you do that, then you're accounting for 60% of your score. And all the other things are pretty small and easy to manage. And even if you mess it up, you can get them removed pretty easily, right?
Yeah.
So I cover all the basic personal credit fundamentals. And you also want to apply for cards with your personal, not necessarily to leverage them, but to build your score up, right? And the higher the limits you get, you always want to increase your limits and push them as far as possible because the higher limits you have with these different banks, the more other banks will trust you with higher amounts, right?
Right.
So for whatever reason you ever want to go get a Rolls Royce, you want to finance that car. If you don't have any credit cards that have $50,000 limits, even $30,000 limits, you don't have any prior auto loans that you've had at least $50 to $100,000 worth of loans or on one vehicle, like you're not going to get approved for that no matter how much money you have in the bank or how good your score is, because you could have a 750 credit score with a very thin credit profile,
Uh-huh.
and it may look like you have a great score, but you realistically can't do anything with it because your credit file is too thin.
Hmm. But I didn't know that. So I just want to say that, like, I didn't even think about that, that process. And I'm sure that some entrepreneurs have probably hit that, like you maybe are doing a lot of like cash sales and having like a lot of cash on hand, but never really working on the credit side. So
Yeah.
I didn't even know that that was the case, that you would run into those challenges kind of long term trying to scale your business. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
How did you even get into that? Like, I mean, hearing that, first off, aren't you, I think you're younger than me, right? Are you 27?
I'm 26.
Okay, yeah. I mean, being 26 and knowing that much about credit, like, how did you even start learning about that process?
By necessity, I was broke, and thankfully during the military, I had some good leaders who pointed me in the right directions. They helped me open up credit cards and build my credit. So by the time I was going to these entrepreneur events, I came across a mentor who basically put me onto the credit game. He was able to show me the ways to apply for these credit cards on my personal side,
Yeah.
to get approved for very big limits, increase my limits, to call them, tell them certain things to make sure everything goes smoothly.
Mhm.
And he opened my mind to the concept because a lot of us have negative stigmas instilled in us from growing up, right? That
Right.
all debt's bad, stay away, don't touch your credit, credit could ruin your life, all these different things, right?
Mhm.
So he had to open my mind because I was the person that was scared to use my credit, right?
Mhm.
And he essentially asked me, what's your dream car? And I was like, a Ferrari. And he was like, imagine you have a Ferrari in your garage right now and you're just not using it. You have it, but you're just not driving it because
Yeah.
you're scared to damage it.
Be
Like,
crazy.
think about that. Like, what's the point of having something that is so powerful, right? You buy a Ferrari for the experience to make your life better, right?
Mhm.
That's why people buy Ferraris or mansions, penthouses, whatever your your biggest, grandest dream is, right? You buy those things for the experience that's going to make your life better. Credit, in the same way, is something that can make your life better. And you are scared of using it in most cases because you don't know how to use it. You just don't know the correct information about it. Same way, if I didn't know how to drive, I'd probably be scared of driving the Ferrari too, right? But luckily, I learned how to drive. Same way with credit, you have to learn how to leverage it properly, and then it won't be as intimidating.
Yeah. I don't think you could put that in any better words, bro. One take. That was strong, man. Speaking of intimidating though, when I went out to the event you guys held, having those 400 people, I feel like I don't know how I'd ever even start putting together like an event like that. I mean, I feel like a lot of people who are going to listen to the show at some point are going to want to maybe put together something like that, or, masterminds or whatever the case is. How did you guys, kind of get the idea to put together that event, but also like get 400 people out there? Cause it was a really incredible event.
Man, I think it just step by step, bro. I was reading this book, and the other night it says, desire is focusing on the result, and intention is focusing on the process, right? And desire is nothing more than wishes, but intention is having the thought and then automatically acting on it. Like right now, I intend to raise my hand, so my hand raises, right? If I just desire that my hand raises, it's not going to raise. So that's the difference between people who have desires and intentions, right? So we intended to put that event together. So like whenever you intend to do something, you just focus on whatever it is you have to do at that moment. So it's really just going step by step. Like, did we know it was going to sell out? No, but we intended to sell it out, right? So the first step is like, all right, how do we throw an event? Book a venue.
Yeah.
All right, what do we need for the venue? AV, screens, how many chairs? How many chairs can we put in? And it was like, and it wasn't supposed to be that big because we booked it during the pandemic. It went from being like 200 chairs spaced out to being like 450 chairs.
Yeah.
But then like the goal got even bigger because it's like, well, now we have to sell out more seats or else it's just gonna look weird, Yeah. So it was just, nonstop, just taking it step by step, not stopping.
It's interesting. Like you're talking about the intention. I literally made a video yesterday because I was rereading Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And I realized one of the things I've not done since I first had my success is when working on my manifesting, I hadn't actually written down, for one, the process that I was trying to put into place to manifest what I wanted, but also like what I'd be willing to sacrifice to actually put those things together. Because I feel like, with Instagram culture, especially for me, sometimes I'll get caught up just scrolling. And I'm like, man, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I'm going to manifest this into my life. But then I'm not intentional in like the actual process of putting that together. And like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? What other things am I actually going to put to the side so I actually put this thing together? So like, it's cool to hearing that word, like intentionality. I feel like a lot of people have huge dreams, and it's, normally just based on what you see on Instagram sometimes, but then it's not always intentional and actually making it happen. So it's cool to just see how you guys have been just building constantly on top of just each thing. What's next for you? Like, what are obviously you just had the event. I know that you have like your programs that you have together. Are you still doing real estate?
I transitioned out of real estate. I focus more on my trucking company.
Okay.
So I'm building that up right now. And one of the things I want to get into is, sort of what you're in is tech, not necessarily in the same direction as you, but in some way tech. Right now there are some things I'm working on, but I can't discuss it because of NDAs. Yeah. But I want to focus more on building companies I could sell. And that was something that put me off about wholesaling. It's an amazing opportunity to start an entrepreneurship and build a lot of capital. But for me, the exit strategy isn't there. And I'm always focusing on the most efficient use of my time, right? So if I build a wholesale company to 10 million a year, I'm probably going to net anywhere from maybe 3.5 mil if it's large. And if I build a company that I could sell to 1 mil profitability, so even though I profit only 33%, right? The same company, my net worth would be 10 million because I could sell that company. And if the cap rate's 10, it's a multiple of 10. So that'd be 10 million just for easy math. right?
Yeah.
I sold that company for 10 million. So now my net worth is worth 10 million versus just the 3.5.
Yeah, true that.
So, I want to be a billionaire, and billionaires make their wealth through their net worth, not necessarily cash on hand.
Yeah.
We're focusing less on the money coming in, and more so for me, it was my ego, because like I always want to be the best at everything. So like you get caught up in being the best at, something essentially that's not even at close to the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather be the best of the best than the best of the little leagues. You get what I'm saying?
No, I understand, bro. 100%. The technology space is crazy. I mean, I've obviously been building like different apps and stuff, but even like how you sell things, the way multipliers work, like if you have a technology company, like you can sell a company for like the revenue of like 25x of what you've actually had, or you can sell it like, if you have based on users, like each user is worth this amount. And it also depends on who you're selling it to. I mean, it's been the biggest reason why I always love building apps, because at the end of the day, if you can show the value to somebody, who knows how much money you can make. I saw a guy who sold the filter technology to Snapchat. He didn't have any users, but they wanted the tech. They bought it from him for 55 million. And then he just like left and started traveling with his family. But you just never even really know what gold mine sometimes you have when you're building in technology. So I definitely think it's pretty great that that you're like transitioning and working on building that project. With the trucking company, like I've seen that a lot on like Instagram and a couple of people talking about it. How'd you get into that? And like, what's kind of a long-term goal for you for building that business out?
Well, I want to sell that company. Those companies sell anywhere from like 7 to 10 cap rates, right? The lower the cap rate, the higher the multiple for those watching. So, it's a good source of passive income once you set it up the right way and put the systems in place. You're just hiring drivers. The drivers, any business, right? The biggest Achilles heel in any business is going to be the people actually in the company, So the issue everybody has with trucking is the driver turnaround.
Yeah.
And that's what deters a lot of people. But as long as you account for that, you'll be fine. So, right now I'm in between drivers for one of my trucks. And we've had like 3 people back out because unemployment's kicking again. So nobody wants to work. But it's just something you account for. It's a reality of any business. You're going to have turnaround in certain positions. And certain positions are going to be a lot higher turnaround than others. But for overall, like the trucking company is amazing. It could be very hands off. Besides, minor upkeep, you have to make sure that all your logs are upkept properly. Make sure you're in compliance with DOT. All the registrations and licensing are put in place. But once you have all that set up and operating smoothly, it's an amazing company.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing, man. One thing I did want to touch on with you, I mean, you've done so many different things, and obviously I got to work with you guys, and I know every program that you guys are a part of is real and serious. But I've also had times where I've worked with people or like bought a program where the people were just like, it was just all cap. Like on Instagram, you just see so many people talking about, making millions of dollars, doing this, doing that. And a lot of times, I'd say the majority of the time, people either aren't doing what they said they did, or they're selling a program after not doing much of anything. For people out there who are, maybe trying to figure out like who could be a good mentor or coach, or, what kind of program to buy, like, do you have any like signs that maybe you could point people to say like, this is a way to know if a person's done something or not, or these are some questions to ask to see if, this is the right program for you?
I really don't.
Yeah.
I would just say like, you remember when Clubhouse was like trending? Yeah. So I was in a couple of Clubhouse rooms, and I hopped into one where Ty Lopez was in it. He's probably like the most notable course creator, program creator out there.
Yeah.
And someone asked him that same question. He was just like, I've only ever got a refund on one course ever, right? And it was just the guy didn't deliver, or something major happened. But he says he buys everybody's course, and he doesn't really necessarily care if they are, as legitimate as they say they are, or whatever the case is. He just feels like he could learn at least one thing from each one of those programs. If you were to actually go through it and spend time trying to pick something away from it, either learn, a lot of them, I think the problem with a lot of these courses is they don't show it's more concept based, right? There's nothing that people can implement. And I think that's the biggest turnoff for people trying to get into things is they just understand the concept and they like get excited about it, but they don't have any actionable steps that they could follow. Mm-hmm. And, if you go into it with the student mindset, even if you just come away learning the concept, at least it sparks something in your mind where then you could go research further, right? So maybe if you don't get all the pieces from that one program, you could build upon it at that point.
Yeah.
There's always, I feel like you could take away something from anything. You just have to look at it with a different perspective.
I feel that. No, for sure, man. It was just something I was wondering. I've noticed just so many different people that are out there. It's just sometimes it's hard to cut through the noise, like you guys are one of the few people I know who, if you're posting about it or if you're saying it, it's the real thing. So, always wonder.
That's something that, me and Jay set out to do is create like actual systems people could follow for success, right? Like when you came, we gave you guys the entire blueprint. We said, use this company to do this, set up this to integrate with that, call these people, get your data from here, skip trace here, X, Y, and Z to the T, very actionable items, right? Yeah. So for us, it's never been like concept and motivation and all this, airy stuff. It's been very, very grounded material that you could follow to the T.
Yeah.
If you follow all the information we provide you, then you will have the results similar to what we had, right?
Yeah. You're right. I did get my deals right after I met with you guys. So there's no doubt about that. It was right on track. I have a couple questions I want to ask that I feel like I never really hear. So one of them is, what's the most important thing you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before learning it? And what was your life like after learning it?
What was the most important thing I've learned in my life? I would say one of the most important things I've learned was accepting God or, a higher power of your understanding into my life. I think I felt lost for a long time without God on my side. Yeah. And nothing really made sense, right? It was very hard for me to let go of things.
Yeah.
Initially, because I didn't understand there was something much bigger in store for me, right?
Yeah.
And there was a few things that happened early on in my life that didn't make sense so much later, even like recently up until like last year or the year before.
Yeah.
And seeing like how different my life could have been in a very negative way had I got the things that I originally asked for.
Yeah.
Was just eye-opening to me. And like it really made me like be more open and receptive to God and understand that, he was looking out for me, originally when I felt like I was scorned.
Right.
So just coming around to creating a connection with God, that's probably been like it's probably been the thing that's elevated me the most in recent history.
I feel that, bro. Have you ever read the 4 Agreements?
I've read The Voice of Knowledge, not the 4 Agreements.
Yeah. No. Because it just sounded a little bit like that. I'll tell you, man, like similarly to that, me and my co-founder, like I remember when we were first working together and we were trying to get to like this first million, like how are we going to do it? I remember I was looking at him and I was like, bro, I feel like because we had just had a big failure, but then I learned later on why like maybe it was good that it happened. I remember telling him, I was like, the thing I'm most worried about is that we'll have too much success too early on. And then we won't know what lessons we needed to learn from that. And then it just smashes us. I was like, I'd rather us like not have anything work for as long as necessary until like the universe knows like I'm ready. Because I've seen so many people get like some really early success. And then on the back end of it, it just like destroys them. They weren't prepared, like whether it's taxes or just the lifestyle or whatever. Like the one thing I've tried to manifest is like to learn as many lessons as possible before I get to a point so that the success doesn't destroy me at the end of the day. Because it honestly does destroy a lot of people, all the time. So I definitely like kind of feel that intricacy, at least, of maybe understanding why some of the things happen earlier on that you didn't expect to have happen,
Yeah.
So, and then one other question. So a lot of people, are solo entrepreneurs. And for me, I've been working with my co-founder Grant since I got started. And for you, I know you and Jesse have been working together for a really long time. So like,
Yeah.
what do you think? Because I don't think I could have done really half of what I've done without my co-founder. What kind of I guess advice would you give to someone as they're maybe looking for co-founders or partners, like what to look for in that person, or just how to navigate that process, especially as you have success, to be able to stay good friends? Because a lot of people fall off as you start to have success too.
I would say don't set out to find a partner. Honestly, I think to set out to find a partner is setting a limiting belief in yourself, right? It's saying that I need somebody else to succeed.
Yeah.
It's the wrong foot to step off in.
Okay.
Like me and Jay never had the mentality of I need a partner to accomplish this. So let's, reach out to each other and work together. That was never like the mindset going into it. It was us, talking. We both had similar drives and visions and much larger aspirations. And then it was brainstorming on how can we bring these things to fruition, right?
Yeah.
Now, that is a very unique situation from, everything that I've seen since, we first started that first company to now. Like we've seen multiple partnerships dissolve, right? Many people have tried partnerships, many people have failed. Many people have multiple failed partnerships, right? And it's very difficult because people always ask us specifically, like, do I need a partnership? And my answer is always you don't, because you're just setting yourself back and making it even harder for you to get into the game. Because now instead of actually doing the actions that are going to make you successful, you're searching for somebody to make you successful.
Yeah, I feel that.
If you do the actions and you're in alignment with your purpose, God will align the right people around you to reach higher and higher levels, right? So once you start down the path of success, whoever you need to attract to continue that success, you'll attract. But you can't go searching for it.
Damn. I didn't even think about that. I guess on that note, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh man, Kanye.
I'll feel you on that. He's on my list too.
Kanye, Elon,
Uh-huh.
And you said dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
I'll throw a dead guy in there just for fun. I say Einstein. I think that'd be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, no, I feel that. The only changes I would do, as much as I love Elon, I would love for it to be Nikola Tesla, only because Elon used some of those original designs that he had way back. So I just wonder what was going on in dude's head back then that he knew how to harness power like that. But yeah. I'm with you on the other 2, but that's a strong group right there. And I like to ask this just sort of as a last question, outside of people finding out how to get in touch with you. What is your best tip for making the world a better place?
Making the world a better place.
Yeah, man.
I think try to be the best version of yourself. The better the person you are, the more impact you're going to have in the world, right? Yeah. And if you build yourself to be a genuinely good person, well, not necessarily good, because that's a matter of perspective, but just try to be the best person you could be, right? With pure intentions. If you have pure intentions and you build yourself to be a very good person, you're going to have an impact in the world, right? If you don't develop yourself, your impact is going to be very small. Right? As you develop yourself, you're gonna build a much larger network, have much larger influence, and have much better skills to actually create an impact.
Yeah.
So just continually focus on developing yourself to be the best person you can be and maintain pure intentions.
Yeah, I feel that. That's like that Celestine prophecy with the putting that positive energy out there and just making sure you stay connected and just trying to put that out in the universe. I remember I talked to someone about that the same way. I was like, if everyone was just trying their best, not even saying that they're trying to be good, but just trying what they think would be the best thing to do, how good could everything be? Because there's too many people not even trying to do their best. But I mean, it's been great to have you on here, man. I feel like I learned a lot. on the low. I didn't even realize how much stuff I didn't know around like credit and things like that. How can people get in touch with you? And also like, how can they get in touch with you about like the credit program? Because one, I think there's a lot of people who probably need that, but also just in general to talk to you and reach out.
Yeah. So if you want the credit program, everybody who is watching this podcast, you could actually text me at 619-340-7646. And if you text the word Django, I'll send you a code to get free access to my credit program, right?
Wow.
So everybody who watches this, just go ahead and text that number with Django. I'll send you a code. You get free access to the credit program. And you can reach me on Instagram. So it's at Leviathan DiVincenzo. And just shoot me a DM.
For sure, bro. I want to make sure to stay connected, man. I feel like I learned a lot today. I thought I knew you well, but I had no idea the depth, bro. So, yeah. I mean, thank you so much for joining, man. It really is a blessing to be able to stay connected with you. Like, who would have known after meeting, talking about wholesaling, we could grow into all of this, man.
Yeah, no, this is great. I love what you're doing with the show, bro. I think you're a really good brand.
Thanks, man. It means a lot. I mean, I'm so excited to continue the show, but this one's got to end. So I want to thank everybody for checking out the Django show. This is episode 2 with my brother Levi. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.